Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I have another block for you. This is called Eva's Garden, and this is a 12-inch block. It's made with flying geese units, 4 patches, and square and a square unit. And I'm showing you a few different techniques in this block on how to make the 4 patch units as well as the square and a square unit. So this may look kind of complicated, but it really isn't. So I hope you'll give this block a try. Here are the fabrics you need to make Eva's Garden block. For A, you will need 1 5 1/4 inch square, and then you're going to cut that on both diagonals to give yourself 4 triangles. B is 1 strip that is 1 1/2 inches by approximately 14 inches. C is for 2 1/2 by 4 1/2 inch rectangles. D is for 3 inch squares. E is 1 4 1/2 inch square. F is 2 5 inch squares, and you cut them on one diagonal to give you 4 triangles. G is for 3 inch squares, and you'll want to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of these squares. H is 8 2 1/2 inch squares, and you'll cut diagonal lines on the wrong sides of these squares. And then I is a strip that is 1 1/2 by approximately 14 inches. Now these two are going to be sewn together, and we're going to make a strip set. So 14 inches is a little bit long, but that gives you kind of a buffer there. So anyway, I'm going to adjust the camera and we'll get started working on Eva's Garden block. Okay, the first step is to make half square triangles with the D and the G squares. So the G squares have a diagonal line drawn on the wrong side, and we're going to put those right sides together and sew 1/4 inch away from the drawn line on both sides. Grab my tails here. I'm going to do one here, and then I will start chain piecing all these together. Okay, now I'm going to cut on the drawn line to make 2 half square triangles. Now these will be a little bit oversized, so they'll need to be trimmed down to measure 2 1/2 inches. And those instructions will be in the pattern, which there's a link to it in the description box below, so you can get that information there. So we'll have 8 half square triangles when we're done here. So I'm going to just chain piece the rest of these together. Okay, so now I have all of my half square triangles done. So I'm going to set them to the side, and now I want to make the 4 patch units, and that will need the I piece and the B piece. And we're going to sew these together along the long edge and then press towards the darker fabric. So I need to find the right side, which is not easy with this fabric. I think this, okay, there's the right side. Right side of this one. You may hear a squeaky toy in the background that somebody's playing with a puppy. Okay, so I'm going to sew this with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so here's my strip set. Now I need to cut these into 1.5 inch segments. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll sew them together to make the 4-patch units. Okay, so I've cut all of my pieces here, so there's 8 here, and this is what I had left from that strip set. So this gives you a little extra insurance here if you need to recut something, if you cut one wrong, so you have enough here to make 2 extra pieces. So to make the 4-patch units, I'm just going to turn colors in the opposite direction and then sew these together. Okay, so now I have 4 4-patch units like this. I'm going to press these, and then we'll start working on the center unit. Okay, so they're all pressed. Cute little 4-patch units. Okay, now for the center unit, we're going to need the E-square and A triangles. Okay, what we're going to do is to sew these onto 2 opposite sides to begin with, and then the other 2. Okay, I'm going to finger press the center for all 4 sides here, so I'll fold it in half and then just press right on the edge right there, and that'll give me a little mark, and I'll do that on all 4 sides. And it doesn't matter really if you fold it right sides together or wrong sides. I've got these the right sides together. Now I need to match up the triangles too, so I'm going to put these wrong sides together and press on the edge there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fold this back to that crease, tuck that right in there, and grab them both and open it up. And I'm going to go ahead and place a pin so it doesn't shift, because I'm going to go ahead and put one in on the other side, the opposite side. So I'm going to press my center and tuck it into the previous crease, and then pin that. Okay, then we're going to sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm just going to make sure my raw edges are even, and then sew. All right, I'm going to press this open. Okay, so we have that. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim off these dog ears, these little corners, because they will get in the way of my presser foot. My 1/4 inch presser foot has kind of a ledge on it right here, and those will get caught up in there. Okay, now we're going to finish the other 2 sides. Now this is going to make a square and a square unit, and this is a different way to do one. You can do any of them this way if you want. I usually will sew a square onto a corner and trim it off just like I do a flying geese unit. But this is a little bit easier, especially since we're doing 2 rounds of this. So let's pin. And you have to figure out the math for this too. So those, those sizes are in the pattern, so you don't have to worry about that. But when I am designing a pattern, I have to figure out the math. And math is not my strong suit. But the EQ8 helps with that. Okay, so now I'm going to pin this one on. And now we can sew. Okay, so there's the square and a square unit, and I'm going to trim off these dog ears too. Okay, now we need the F triangles. And we're going to do the same thing. I don't need to find the center because the points here are the center. So that's what I'm going to use. But I do need to find the center of these F triangles. So that means I have to decide which is the right and the wrong side of this fabric. Not all white on whites are difficult to tell. But this is evening time, even though I have quite a bit of artificial light on in here, it's a little bit harder for me to see. That's just, I need to get my new glasses. I had an eye exam in January, was told I need new glasses, was given a prescription, but I still have never gone in to get that prescription filled. So I really need to do that. It's just finding the time. Okay, I'm going to pin this one, and then we're going to sew all of these around. Okay, so here what we have so far. Trim off dog ears again. Okay, so here is the full square and a square unit. Okay, now we need to make some flying geese unit. We need G rectangles and H squares. Okay, so flying geese units, we've done those numerous times, but we're going to take a rectangle and a square. We have a line drawn on the wrong side, and that line is going to go from the top center to the bottom right hand corner, and I'm going to stitch right on that drawn line. Okay, I'm going to trim off the outer corner, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'll press the white triangle out. Okay, so here we go. And I'm going to take another square, and the diagonal line is going to go from the top center to the bottom left hand corner this time. I'm going to line up the raw edges here and sew on the drawn line. So trim the outer corner and press open. Okay, there's the flying geese unit. So I need to make 3 more. And let's see. And then we'd be ready to sew things into rows. So I'm going to go ahead and chain piece the rest of these to make it go a little faster. And then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I have all 4 flying geese done. So now we're ready to lay the block out and sew it into rows and then sew the rows together. Okay, now I need to make 4 units with flying geese and then have square triangles on each side. So watch your diagram on how to place that, and it's going to look like this here. So we have the flying geese in the center, and then the 2 half square triangles are facing it. So down at the bottom you have all green fabric. So we need to make 4 of these units. Okay, so there's one side. Then I just need to add the other half square triangle. Okay, so we have that. So I need to make 4 of these, and I'm going to go ahead and press. Okay, so now it's all pressed, and I just pressed towards the half square triangles. So let's make 3 more. Okay, so what we have so far, we have our center unit, we have our side units, and then our 4 patch units, and the print is going to face towards the center of the block. So I need to sew these together, and these together to make my 3 rows, and then I'll sew all 3 rows together. So here's the finished block, and I think it turned out okay. See all my points? I got some fabric here at the end of the points, and that's just the way these pieces were cut. It gives a little extra room here, so it won't cut off your points. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. With a few different techniques in this, doing some strip piecing and a different way of making a square and a square. But I think it turned out really nice, and I think it'll look good in the quilt. So this is Eva's garden block, and I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, that is it for Eva's garden block. So those new techniques that really aren't new, they've been around for a while, but they're techniques that I haven't been using for a while, and they really help put this block together with very little waste of fabric. You don't have to throw out as many corner pieces as you would with the other methods. So I hope you'll give this block a try. Now, if you like this video, please click the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.